Penalties and Procedures of Factory Act 1948. The Factory Act 1948 is a legislation that aims to regulate the working conditions in factories and to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of workers. The Act specifies a number of penalties and procedures for non-compliance with its provisions. Here are some of the key penalties and procedures of the Factory Act 1948. Penalties for contravention of provisions. Any person who contravenes the provisions of the Act or the rules made thereunder shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term up to 2 years or with a fine up to 1 lakh rupees, or both. Appointment of inspectors. The Act provides for the appointment of inspectors who have the power to enter any factory, examine the premises, and take samples for analysis. If an inspector finds any contravention of the provisions of the Act, he can serve a notice on the occupier of the factory directing him to take corrective action. Appointment of inspectors. The Act provides for the appointment of inspectors who have the power to enter any factory, examine the premises, and take samples for analysis. If an inspector finds any contravention of the provisions of the Act, he can serve a notice on the occupier of the factory directing him to take corrective action. Notice of accidents. If any accident causing death, serious bodily injury or illness, or any dangerous occurrence happens in a factory, the occupier of the factory must give notice of the same to the Chief Inspector of Factories within 24 hours. Appeals. Any person aggrieved by an order made by an inspector or a certifying surgeon under the Act may appeal to the prescribed authority within 30 days of the order. Annual leave with wages. The Act requires that every worker who has worked for at least 240 days in a year shall be allowed leave with wages for a period not less than 1/12 of the time spent on duty during the previous year. Prohibition of employment of young children. The Act prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory. Health and safety provisions. The Act specifies a number of health and safety provisions such as cleanliness, ventilation, temperature, lighting, and drinking water facilities in the workplace. Failure to comply with these provisions can result in penalties. Overall, the penalties and procedures of the Factory Act 1948 are designed to ensure that factories provide a safe and healthy working environment for their workers. Employers are expected to comply with the provisions of the Act, and failure to do so can result in penalties and legal action.